So I had this crazy idea as far as wanting to make a video today, and it's getting later in the day, and I always try to make a video each day if possible. And I was thinking, well, I really need to create one, and there's not much time left in the day, so what am I going to do? So I thought of a kind of a crazy topic to do, something that's probably challenging to most people, something that most people don't think is possible. But today I'm going to try to show you firsthand here how it is possible, which is how to start and launch an Amazon product for under $500. So maybe for some of you, $500 seems like a lot. Maybe to some of you, that seems like it's nothing. Regardless, either way, I want to show you that it is possible, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So my very first product launch, to give you an idea, I think that cost me about $1,600. And in short, if you've ever seen any of my other videos, I actually will link it here as far as my first video, which shows my Amazon story from $0 to $10,000 in sales, and that was with my very first product that I launched on Amazon. So meaning that $1,600 launch, that was, quote unquote successful in the sense of being profitable. However, I also want to show you too, which I didn't know at the time, which is you can launch for less than that. Now, will it be the most ideal launch? Will it be the best launch you can ever do? All this and that? No. But that's not really what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to see, is it even possible if you can launch for under $500? So with that said, I want to just show you step by step here kind of how I would approach that, and maybe you can take a similar technique. And why this is important too is if you want a smaller budget, you can then ultimately launch more products this way. And the more products you get launched on Amazon, then hopefully the more income you can have coming in to then launch even more products on Amazon. So basically, don't think you have to save up like over $3,000 in order to have a launch. Now, don't get me wrong, that launch will probably do better than a $500 launch. However, at the same time too, nothing's always guaranteed, and I think if you can get things up there as cheaply as possible but still yet effective, I would say that's still a good way to go about it. So anyways, getting into the meat and potatoes here of the video, I want to first talk about the expenses that you're going to get regardless. And these are going to be the costs that you're going to get regardless. So I want to go over these costs, and then it's going to give me an idea of what kind of budget I'm working with here as far as trying to find a supplier, an item, or the different product, and how I would go about that. So is this video going to be actually me going from idea to literally launching it? No, but I will show you what I would do if I was going to go through that process. And you might be thinking, well, Brennan, why, if it's such a good product, why wouldn't you launch it yourself? The thing is, if I'm making this public and live, I don't want to invest into a product where I could have, hundreds, thousands, whatever amount of people potentially seeing this video, and then like, oh, that's a great idea, and then everyone goes into that, and then it becomes super competitive, if that makes sense. But the same idea applies. So even though that this idea that I'll be making public will no longer be a fantastic idea, there are still tons and tons and tons of different options that you can use that can still work successfully for a cheaper, lower budget. Okay, so first things first, I want to consider a couple expenses here. So I'm going to try to type while I talk and while I have some stuff on my keyboard or near my keyboard, which is making it harder to type, so give me a chance here. But okay, so expenses that we're going to incur, or it's worth it in my opinion. So I think it's something along the lines of, don't quote me, but it's like around $60 to enroll a product into the Amazon Early Reviewer program, something like that. Okay, so this stands for the Early Review Program. Okay, the ERP, Early Reviewer Program. So it's something like that. It could be more, could be less. I'll be very conservative. I'm going to say more. So let's just say $80. Okay. So these prices could be right or wrong, but I know there's something close to that. So let's just say $80. Okay. So right now we're left with $420 we're dealing with because of the launch. Okay. And I'm not going to include the $40 fee for Amazon as far as in order to have that count, because it's not technically a part of the launch itself. So I'm going to not include that here. Let's see. So we got that. I'm pretty much thinking the rest we can pretty much, well, we're going to have it where we're going to do the rest of ourselves. So meaning like any photography for the listing and filling out the listing and all that kind of stuff, we'll do it ourselves because of this lower budget. So with that, let's have $420 be our budget for basically what we're trying to find as far as the items go. So we're just trying to get the product launched. Okay, so we're working with $420 here. And ultimately, we still need the product. We need, well, first, more importantly, we need an idea. And I kind of already, to save time, already kind of thought of an idea, and how you can brainstorm ideas is, you can write things down, and then I would recommend going on Amazon, look up those ideas, and then also what you can do is look at the sellers as far as what are the different items they're selling to, and it kind of gives you some ideas that way. Also, I want to mention too that a software that I use, which is called Jungle Scout, that can also really help you find different ideas and confirm if it's a good idea or not. We'll actually be using that software later in this video to confirm, because I've thought of the general idea as far as what we'll be looking into, but I haven't found the exact product yet. And here's my idea. So I'm going to go forward with it here. To be honest, I have no idea how great it is, but we're going to go forward anyways and find something that's great about it. Which is, I want the idea of, we're going to do something that's more niche or niche, whatever you want to call it, simply because I wanted to see if we can think of things that are cheaper, yet at the same time too, not a ton of people are making or have at the moment. So this is going to be something that's going to be very niche or niche, and it's going to sell incredibly well for a couple months, and then it's going to completely die off. Which, do I always recommend going about it that way? Not necessarily, but at the same time too, I think it's a fantastic opportunity. Plus, the reason why we're doing this one is because I know that you can get things for really cheap as far as these products. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about, we're going to focus on some kind of product that has something to do with turning the year 2021, okay? So currently, this video is being made in 2020, so our products would be for basically people that are going to be celebrating the new year for 2021. Now, right now, I'm filming this in March of 2020. In real life, would I actually go, this early in the year and start buying stuff for 2021? I wouldn't personally recommend it. I think that's too early. I would say maybe somewhere between, maybe at max 6 months out, maybe. I wouldn't want anything later than 3 months out though, because you still need to give it time in order to get it shipped from China to Amazon, plus get some initial reviews as well. So you don't want to be doing it the month before, because chances are there'll be other sellers that are more established than you at that time. So anyways, with that said, what we're going to do, so New Year, again, I'm trying to type with all this stuff on my keyboard, New Year's 2021. Okay. So how this applies to you, you can find different topics and things that work best for you as far as like different ideas you come up with. Okay, so New Year's 2021. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Amazon here, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to then type in, let's see, New Year's 2020, okay? I just want to see what it comes up with. So there's going to be people here that are still trying to sell stuff that is from, like turning 2021, all this and that, Happy New Year, things of that sort. So I get to see, what exactly people are buying most likely as far as like what's really popular, because Amazon's going to always be trying to attempt to sell me on what's going to be most popular. Now, all these things here are pretty close to almost irrelevant in the sense of finding what exactly is going to be, what's going to sell now. People are probably not buying this, but let's use this for an example. Now, again, I don't know exactly how profitable this is, which is why pretty soon I'm going to actually be using Jungle Scout here to see exactly just how profitable it is. And I actually have another extension too that I need to put on. But anyways, here's something that we can look into more. These you see all the time, but look at this. So they're selling 6 pairs of these plastic glasses here, 6 pairs of them for $21, okay? Like, oh my gosh, talk about a markup. Like, they probably, I'm guessing, I don't know this for a fact, but I'd be willing to probably bet quite a bit that they can get each of these for probably under 50 cents each glasses, especially if they're, selling a ton and whatnot. So as you can see here, this is something that we can look into. So let's go about it like that. So something that they had actually working here for it is 2020 is ironically a great year for glasses. That's kind of a joke if you get it. Okay, so now we're gonna then be using Jungle Scout to see exactly how good these glasses right here are selling. Because before I even want to look into different suppliers, I want to make sure that this product is selling well. So what we're going to do, I'm going to press my Jungle Scout extension here, and then I'm going to just actually, here you go. This is the exact one we're looking for. So this one right here has a monthly revenue right here of $1,200. So my expectations are going to be a little bit lower for products that are going to be cheaper to make in general. I mean, of course, if you have certain goals as far as you need to be making X amount per month, well, that's completely up to you. But keep this in mind. Right now, this is a very much, what do you call it, a trending item at a time, or it's a niche item in the sense of it. There's only a certain time length. It's not even to the point of seasonal. It's just an event kind of an item for this one here. So I do expect this number to be lower here. So $1,200 per month, that's not the most by any stretch. But if you consider that we're kind of past 2020 and celebrating that it's the New Year's, that's actually pretty good if you consider that. So at its peak time, who knows what this may have been. Now, I actually probably could look into that. If I have the right extension installed, which I will get soon, that'll actually show me what the sales were before, but I would not be surprised if this was making maybe around even 10K during that time stretch of December time and maybe even January as well, maybe even more. So think about that though. Like you maybe spend around $500 and you can get something that's selling like hotcakes, and you're going to probably be having it be pretty cheap. Now, here's something that I'll say too. Notice that I'm looking up New Year's 2020, but you're like, that's nice and all, Brennan, but like we're looking for 2021. The reason why I'm doing what I'm doing is trying to get an idea of what products may have sold the best during that time, and then look into doing that for 2021 before anyone else does. So, and with that said here, I also want to mention too that you might see down here that it says right here it's a weak niche, and that I 100% agree with that. And that's because, again, this is 2020. We're going to be looking to 2021. So if we were closer to 2021, that's when I'd look at actually perhaps doing this. So with that in mind, let's see what this is. So that's like New Year's glasses. So eyeglasses 2020, New Year fun. Okay, so get an idea of that. Now we're going to go to a website called Alibaba.com. This is where we're going to try to find our suppliers for that item. So what we're going to do is type in New Year's glasses, okay? So we're going to try to get just see kind of broad and just trying to see who might be willing to supply it. At this moment, I'm not even concerned about price. I'm just simply looking for a supplier that would be able to do it. So sometimes when you type in things to Alibaba, it's not always going to be exactly what you're looking for, in the sense of like sometimes the translation between the two doesn't always match up. So what we're doing is we're trying to look for something kind of somewhat similar to what would these be right here. Now keep in mind here that these have a lower minimum order quantity. And this is also, there's probably tons of suppliers that offer it, so I'm not really concerned here as far as the prices that what we've seen so far. So that's something pretty close to the one before, but also here what I'm looking out for is there's going to be a lot of middlemen here. And when I say middlemen, I mean people that probably aren't the actual suppliers and they're just trying to sell it for a lower quantity amount. And I'm just trying to look out for that. Now, here's something too that's really interesting. Now, minimum order quantity, 200 pieces, 90 cents each. Now, just for curiosity's sake, I just want to click on this here. This might not be the best supplier, but I'm just curious to see how they're approaching this. So again, I'm looking for something that's going to be, really cheap. So let's aim for under 25 cents. So yeah, I actually do take that back. Let's sort by price. And how you do that on Alibaba, it's really easy. What you're able to do is you can sort by different items, best match, and all that kind of fun stuff. But actually here, what you want to do is you want to go down to here by price. And the way I showed you this too is best match is going to be something that's going to be closest to whatever you typed in here. So I want to make sure that's right. And then also price. So what I'm going to put in, 1 cent lowest max. Let's say the most we're willing to spend is 25 cents each. Press OK. So we had 2,600, about 2,600 results before, and it's not showing how many we have at the moment, but let's see what we can do here. So these are going to be all of things that should be priced under 25 cents, or have it in theory. Right now, for whatever reason, it's not showing up like that. Let's see if I did anything wrong. It might be because it's just hitting that range into them. I'm not really 100% sure. But anyways, let's just keep looking through this. Okay. It's going to be, what's key here is going to be looking for the supplier that's the biggest one, and they can also offer things, you know, for some of the cheapest prices too. So meaning, what I mean by that is, say for an example, this one right here. So they're offering, now this is not probably the best example, but notice how this one here is 16 cents, 25 cents, and then look how many transactions they've had. So this is a much better chances of them actually being the people that make these, compared to someone that then steps in like as a middleman and says, hey, I'll give you these for 50 cents each or something of that sort. Typically these glasses should be really cheap to make, and that's what we're looking for, because I don't believe we should be spending over 50 cents per unit. And especially if you're buying in huge quantities. Now, in this case, we're not. I wouldn't call it that we are, but still we might be able to do it since it's such a cheap item that they can mass produce. So on their part, it should be really cheap. And for us, in theory, it should be as well. So pretty soon here, I'm going to pick one just for time's sake, so that way I don't bore you with going through all this. But that's essentially what you would do, is you would find one that you want to look into, whether it's one that you think people would really like, or it's one that is really darn close, if not nearly identical, where you actually find the actual supplier they had used to get this one right here. And here, actually, if we look at this one versus this right here, these actually might be identical. So let's look here for a second. Something like that. Okay. And then let's look at this. I would say I think that's identical. So we may have found actually one of the suppliers, or a supplier that would supply this person here with these glasses. So this is 6 pairs they're offering for $22. Right now, at worst case scenario, we can get each one for 90 cents. So let's just make math easy and say $1 each. So if we were to get, hypothetically, if we were to match what these people did, that would cost us $6. You maybe cost at max $1 or $2 per 6 or whatever to get it shipped over into the United States. So we're dealing with, you know, almost a 50% plus profit margin, and that's kind of worst case scenario as far as according to these prices here. So do you kind of see what I'm saying here as far as how much profit you can potentially then get for this, since it's such a cheaper item? So in the case of this, what I would do is, if I felt comfortable enough, so I went through all the different listings, I would actually pull up multiple different listings before you start contacting them all. Double check and make sure that they're different companies. I've actually made this mistake before, so quick tip, which is make sure that the people that you're sending this like initial email to, which I'll actually give you within like the description here on YouTube, this is something that you could send to them, because this video is getting probably kind of a little long already. However, I'll just go through it anyways, which is just make sure basically they're all different suppliers. Then you don't email the same supplier twice. I've done that. So just, you know, don't do that. It just looks a little weird if you're introducing yourself twice when it's like you already did that. So make sure you do that, because sometimes these suppliers have different types of products and whatnot, similar, but they can be different. So there's different variations. So keep that in mind as well. And once you feel, you know, comfortable enough as far as like, yeah, I think this is a good one to go about. I like that. I see things such as like, sometimes the response rate, I would say that's a little bit low in my book, but I think it's still workable. You can see that they've clearly they have been doing this before. They've had 80 transactions of over $40,000 on Alibaba, and the people that have bought from them said 85% of it was on-time delivery rate, so it's not too bad. And then they also are offering all these different ways to pay, which I also believe are important, along with trade assurance and all that kind of stuff that always helps. So I won't bore you here as far as reading all these little details and stuff like that, but I like looking down here too, seeing if, if it's customizable. In this case, they're showing different products they have that are similar that they offer, so that's always good to know. And what I do here then is I would, once I get an idea of, okay, so we're working with, say, let's go back to here. So we're working with $420, okay? And we want to get an idea of how much is it going to cost us per one, okay? So we want to make this 2021, okay? So they would end up basically changing this 0 to a 1 is more or less what they'd have to do. And they can probably easily do that. So it says 200 piece minimum order, so at max that's about $200 right there. We have to also factor in shipping. That for this probably shouldn't be anything more than $100, but really what we'd want to do is ask them how much. Basically, I would go into it actually multiple different ways. I would ask them, as a side note here, what I would do is I would ask them how much is it per unit, or how much is it per unit for 500 units, 1,000 units, and let's say maybe 1,500 units, okay? And the funny thing is, why I'm mentioning this is really important, because 500 units, let's say they are going to say, oh, well, that's, say, $1 each, okay, or 90 cents, but just to make math easy, let's say $1, okay? So $1 each, that's then $500. Okay, so that makes sense. So you're ordering less units, so naturally the unit cost is going to cost more. So that makes sense. That's usually always how that works. Now, here's what's interesting. What gets interesting is this, which we say, how about this? Hey, you know what? We'll like for 1,000 units, if we bought 1,000 units, how much would that cost? They might come back and say, well, that'll be 40 cents each. And if that is then the case, then what's interesting about that is then that then becomes $400. So if I'm doing my math right, you can actually have it where the units themselves, you're going to get more and pay less for it as well. So that's something that you want to keep in mind as well. So you might be thinking, well, Brendan, how's that even possible? Well, like I said, if you're ordering more, you can get things for less. But also, here's something that I've forgotten in the past about that you can't forget about, which is you have to add shipping costs, okay? So this is super important. So shipping costs itself, that's something that you can't forget about. Now, that's something you can ask for too in the email, which I'll again give it to you in the description of this YouTube video, so you can just like copy and paste it to help you. I haven't made it yet. That's simply why I haven't showed you. I haven't made it yet. I actually do have one, but I don't really want to dig through my messages on Alibaba for my actual real products right this second. So I'll do that later, and then I'll give it to you in the description for this video. But more or less here, what we're trying to do is get an idea of how much it's going to cost per unit in general. So the more you order, the less you should pay per unit. And then on top of that, get an idea of how much is shipping going to cost for each of these units. Like, shipping for 500 units is going to cost less than shipping 1,000 of them, right? And then also on top of that too, we want to know how much is shipping going to be for shipping by sea and shipping by air. Sea is always going to be cheaper. Air is going to be more expensive. The pros to sea is it's cheaper, but it's going to take longer. Okay, and when I say takes longer, this can vary from anywhere from, I would say 3 to 6 weeks on average, okay, to get the product into the United States, okay? Air, on the other hand, I would say typically under 2 weeks. And you might ask, oh great, what's the advantage to this? Why would you do air? The advantage is if you already had the product launched or whatnot, then you can get it replenished. So if you're selling out of it, then you can get it replenished faster. That's important. You don't want to be having a product that is completely out. Otherwise, of course, you won't be making sales and the listing won't be live on Amazon. So keep that in mind. Something important to note about C then as well is if you are trying to launch this product faster, well, you can do it by sea. Long term, I believe it's better because it's going to end up costing you less, so your cost to get going is to be cheaper. But the bad news is it's going to take longer to get up to go. Sometimes 2 to 3 times as much longer. So ideally, what you would do if possible is do it by sea. you're able to afford, taking, it a little bit longer to get it up and going. And then once you get to a certain point where there's sales coming in, now in this case, I actually probably wouldn't do more than one order, simply because this is like a trend item. I don't really want to reorder this. This would be probably one bigger order or just one smaller order, whatever you feel more comfortable with in this case, simply because it's just an item that'll sell really well when the New Year's comes or just before, and then it's going to die off afterwards. But if it was the case of something where it could keep repeating sales over and over and over again, ideally what you want to do is get it by C, use shipping by C, that's the cheapest, so your cost to get in for each product is cheaper. And then on top of that too, when you need to reorder, use C again, just plan ahead, even plan ahead farther along, or in the sense like basically plan ahead, that's the word I'm looking for. Basically plan ahead in the sense of a little bit farther out, perhaps, is what I'm trying to say. And from there, you'll be able to then still get it in, your items replenished and whatnot on Amazon, and it's still going to be cheaper. So that's something to keep in mind too. So let's go back to Alibaba just for a second here. So what we'd want to do, again, we'd want to then press contact supplier. From contacting supplier, then that's when you're going to enter in that email, not email, but that message that I'll give to you, get an idea of as far as all the prices go for all those different items. And then from there, you then do the math and then figure out, hey, this is how much it should cost, blah, 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 blah. So let me give you an actual example here. So I want to go off of their prices. So let's say, for an example, we are going to say we're going to request, how about, I'm going to try to make this as realistic as possible, and their minimum order quantity here, 200 pieces. Okay, so let's just say I was looking to order just 200 pieces. Okay, so I just want to show you how doable this is for a launch under $500. So let's say this is worst case scenario, okay, in the sense of I am going to say I just want 200 pieces, and I would be pretty much willing to guarantee that 200 pieces is then going to end up being 90 cents each according to their listing here. So basically we'll do 200 times 90, as in for like 90 cents. I'll put a dollar sign so that's not as confusing per se. Okay. And then that, if I can do math right, should come to $180 total. Okay, and what we'll be getting for that is 200 units. What I would do is I would always be looking to see, hey, how can I make this better or whatnot for future listings. What I could do is maybe I have a pack of 8 of them, maybe, or 6 if I want to just have it the same. But let's just say in the example there was no one that has the product up and going right now, so we'll just repeat it and say it'll show a total of 6. That seemed to sell well. So we'll have then a total for each package. We'll want them to package 6 together. We'll want to make that clear with them. But so a total of then 6 in each one. Okay, so with a total of 6 products or 6 units, I want to get that caps lock out. 6 units per product, what we would consider our product that we'll sell on eBay, or package. So let's just call it package. Okay. That means approximately we can get, I'm doing rough math here. So 30, let's see, that would be 18. We could do more than that. This is a rough estimate. So we can get about 35 units total as far as if we were going to do it like this. Now keep in mind, is this the best example in the world? No, I just want to show you that it is possible, okay? So in this case, that would give us a total of 35 of quote-unquote our units. So let's do that, our units. Okay, and for each of those units, we'll sell each one for, let's go back to their pricing here. So $21, okay? For $21, okay? And there are fees involved, so we have to keep in mind Amazon fees, and then product cost fees. Another one that people often forget about is ad fees. Like if you're doing ads for Amazon, chances are you will. So with all that, let's then say this is going to be a really light item, so I'm pretty confident it should be around $4 for Amazon fees, product cost fees. Each one for us, let's add it up to $1 each, so total of 6 of them. That'll be then $6 total. Add fees, you got to break it down on average. It's going to sell really hot during that time, so you probably want to have to spend a whole lot. So say it'll cost you $1 of ads to sell each one is probably even high in my opinion. Well, let's just say $1. So right now that means we are then left with profit of then $10 per unit. We started with a total of 35 units for this very small order, just to launch. This includes being able to get some initial reviews from the Amazon Early Reviewer program. Okay, so we paid $80 for that. That actually might take off some units, so I'm gonna be generous here and take off 10, because we gave some away for a cheaper price. Okay, so then what that means is those 25 units we have left over after we got some reviews, hopefully good reviews, then that means from that really small order that we got, we then were able to do $250 profit. And then keep in mind the initial amount of money that we pretty much put in, we're also going to get that out too. So basically we got paid to cover these fees here. So we got our $420 back in the sense of what we put into it as far as the different fees and all that kind of stuff. So basically we profit $250 and we get our money back as well. So now what does that mean, you ask? So what that means is we were able to establish some kind of product on Amazon. So this is important. So I'm going to put a whole new page for this. So what did we get out of this? So for this basically $500 product launch, we were able to, one, get a product going on Amazon. So that's important because we have now established a product on Amazon, and it's hopefully then getting reviews, which then builds trust. For products that aren't so trendy, you could then, with that, we could basically then potentially order more if things sell well and you're getting the reviews that you're looking to get. So we were able to test the markets really cheap for what it can be, so that's good. Another thing too, that what we got out of this is then, what was it, the 200 was, I think 250, yep, $250 profit. Okay, for items that are more trendy like this will happen likely within a month. And just with only 25 products to sell in this case, which is, I agree, barely any, then this right here will sell through very, very fast. This could actually sell within possibly even a day, but I would be, again, incredibly conservative and say within a month. And then on top of this too, remember, I did not set myself up for perfect success here because I didn't actually even, I took into consideration here that I basically didn't even maximize this out total as far as the costs and whatnot. So you got to keep that stuff in mind too. I didn't even maximize as far as my total budget here. I just put in the different costs. So what I actually only end up doing is spending $180 here. So technically speaking, I could have, I could have probably done double this here. So I only spent $180. And sorry if this is like confusing to you. Hopefully it's not with all the numbers, but I'm trying to show you here just how doable this is. $360 here, and then plus shipping costs, putting in 100. So we have, for the products themselves, so for the products here, we actually could probably spend double that to keep within our budget here, and nearly double, I'd actually think, and probably have enough to cover shipping costs, or we could adjust it slightly. Again, this is considering that they're not willing to negotiate price at all, and we took some out, and we took some units out for the Amazon Early Reviewer program, and all that kind of stuff. So really $200 profit, that's really on the low end of things. I think you could do substantially better realistically from this if you actually did this well. I'd say you'd probably be able to get it from minimum of $500 to maybe even, if done incredibly well, $1,500 during its prime, with that much amount of money spent, and that's talking about profit. Okay, now I want to give you guys real examples in the future. And when I say real examples, I don't want to be all like quote unquote, oh, in theory this and that, and I'll just do real examples in the future. Just for now, I just wanted to again put up a real kind of somewhat quick video here, even though it's been a really long video, but I wanted to create it anyways. It's showing a real product, real supplier. If you guys do want to look into this, here you go. Go check them out. But at the same time, too, in my personal belief, right now is really early to do this, but totally up to you. Hopefully, you guys were able to learn something from this. Hopefully, I didn't overwhelm any of you. If I did, let me know, and I'll happily explain, re-explain anything. I'll also try to maybe show things a little bit differently in different videos. I don't know if I'll do this again. Hopefully, you're able to follow. And I get it that some of my math wasn't always the greatest here. Like, for an example, it may have gotten confusing, like when it came to how many total units I was selling and whatnot. So I'll work on that. But my point is this. It's possible for you to launch a product on Amazon for under $500. So that self-limiting belief of, oh, I need to save, $5,000 in order to get started and launch my first Amazon product, it's just simply not true. You just need to be able to find a product that's going to be cheaper to make. It doesn't always have to be a trending item. It can if you want it to be. And then also have it hopefully be something that's cheaper to ship as well, and not super breakable, which this happens to pretty much fit all that criteria, which is why I'm able to then get quite a bit of it basically launched for under $500. But the great news is it doesn't have to be glasses. There's probably thousands and thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands different products that are just like this that you can also start looking into and also research as well, as far as in seeing when it comes to launching your Amazon product, whether it be your first one or your 100th one, whatever the case may be, for possibly even under $500 if you want. Now, I'll end the video by just saying this, which is I think this is awesome, a great way to start, especially if you don't have a huge budget. Now, if you have more money to put into it, of course, I think the more successful of the odds go in order for you to have a launch. Now, no amount of money spent on a launch guarantees a successful launch, but typically the more money you're willing to put into the product, the cheaper the price you can get it. And when other people, as far as competition, come into the market, you're able to basically be able to withstand the competition better and adjust better if you more or less have more money into it most of the time, but not always. Again, my point here was just to prove to you that yes, you can launch an Amazon product for under $500. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to let me know. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you in another one real soon.